That's right. So this is an ongoing project for us. What are we going to put over here, Rachel, in this corner?
Peas and beans.
What is it?
Peas and beans.
Peas and beans. So we're going to use one of our existing trellises here.
I'm not gonna eat them.
Not going to eat them. We're going to get stuff jammed into this bed here. If you recall earlier in this series here, this bed was there was one running all along here. Obviously we're ripping it all up now. That was in order to make room for this new bed here, which is up and kind of running. So we'll see what's going on with that. New rototiller things, slice them up and put them in here. Rachel's helping right now to get rid of some dirt. A lot of our soil here, if you can take a look at it, I don't know if you can see it because of my angle, but there's a lot of sand and clay in there. You can see the varying colors and stuff. Watch Rachel squeeze that and see how it stays here real tight. Early here in the season where we are just outside of Milwaukee, our ground is still frozen. I've been kind of chopping away here. Some of that's still frozen, and I'm only going about a foot and a half down. So this bed here was our garlic bed, and this wall that runs here all along the front wall, this used to run in a straight line all the way to the fence there. So what we're doing is we're eliminating 5 feet of it. It was about 3 feet wide here earlier. We're going to take this corner, and for 5 feet out from the fence running this way, it's going to be out 4 feet, and we'll put a little stepper over here someplace so that we can get at everything. So you can see where our new, it's like a little jetty or something like that. That's where it kind of kicks out. That's a return, I guess, that we're building right now. And like I said, this is going to run, it'll be 5 feet wide in this area to the fence. We'll put a little stepper someplace in the middle, maybe to the right of that pole that you see right there. It's a laundry line, which I might just remove, I don't know. For my beds here in Zone 5, I get lots and lots of freeze and thaw action throughout fall and into spring. As I talked about earlier, this is March 27th, and we're just starting to thaw out in some spots. So this area here doesn't get as much sun, so I was frozen my soil. This is a temporary fastener, these nails, because I know that I'm going to have to get more bolts or lag screws to put all this back together. I ran out of them, and I just want to get this temporarily put together so that I can get my corners in. Normally you don't have to really use as much as I'm doing. I'm going overboard here, but this is an area of my yard here that stays in the shade, and it's frozen longer, and I want to be able to kind of come in here and till stuff up and break frost and whatever. So I'm going to really kind of beef this up. Excuse me, it's cold out. This hole here that was holding this 4x4, this is just an old 4x4 that came off of this existing bed already. That runs about 18 inches down below the grade, which is here. So I did that, and I set it so that I have, you know, a little bit of a difference here between that and my bed. I have set a level across. Oops, I dropped my camera, sorry. I dropped some of this soil down so that I can work everything. We have come through now with a level, just because I felt like it. Slight adjustment perhaps is necessary. I brought that out, and we're going to run this way. I'll show you how I'm doing that. Like I said earlier, I would normally, you can see here how I have all my bolts running through everything where I countersunk them with a boring bit, 3/4 inch boring bit, and then I've used lag screws with washers to run into, on this bed is actually 2x4 instead of 4x4, and I squared it all the way. I don't want to run my boards and just nail into or screw into here. I'd rather have something that's real solid where its surface is beefed up, because if I go into here, this is called end grain, and end grain of lumber is pretty soft. So if I were to actually put a fastener into here, it would just kind of, the frost an actual frost heave or erosion would force the fastener right out. It would just kind of come right back out because this is real soft lumber here. It's where all the grain kind of sticks together. It would be sort of like my finger here, where if I were to try to put a fastener between these two fingers, it would spread them out and becomes loose. Whereas if I ran this way, the normal way, it would just make a little hole like that. Everything else would seal up around it. That's why it's is stronger. So hang on and we'll be right back. Okay, so we figured out how to make the front of this nice and straight and level. Obviously we just went from measured from the inside of this bed to the outside of here, and like I said, I wanted a 4-foot bed, so we're good. I copied that over here on this back fence, made a pencil mark where it's going to get cut, and then I drew a straight line down, and I want to be able to make sure I have a nice straight line. So what I did was I took my saw and I laid it up against the board, and I figured out where the edge of the plate is on the saw, and then I nailed, just temporarily put this little nailer here so that I can just rest the saw against that. I'll have a nice straight cut. This board being up against the fence, obviously it would be quite a bad idea to get your saw blade jammed up into that, so I've just taken a scrap hunk of 2x4 and wedged the fence out from where I'll be cutting, and I shouldn't bump into it whatsoever. Okay, so we can see here this nailer is still there. I'll move my shield a little bit. Oops, wrong one. So you can see this is going up against there, and it'll make it nice and flat. Okay, so now that the cut is through, we can take off that little nailer. I'll put a board here down into the hole so that I can have another nailer, and then this stuff over here, from here all the way down, is going to come out and get redesigned. Alright, so our bed renovation project is taking another step in the right direction. We have extended where we wanted to. Started off with us ripping out, you know, how we talked about this wall, went all the way to the fence, blah, blah, blah. We made a jut out and then run all this way. So you can see everything is pretty well good to go. This will be all peas and beans, and there's some chives I just transplanted. The only thing is here, you might think that that's a mistake, and ordinarily it would be, but that was the height of the bed in the past. We haven't lowered anything, we've just kind of leveled it off. There was some frost heave, and I have to fully admit, when I put this bed in the first time, some of it in the back was put in rather helter-skelter and not exactly even in some spots. We will rectify that though as time goes by. But for now, we're starting to look pretty good.